And the thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online.
Google it
They
yourself.
spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
What I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise.
Oh my god.
Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, BP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
Back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. You a pervert or something? Okay.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Tonight, we're going to find out how all atheists are clueless about atheism. We're going to be taken to school by a theist, a Christian. He comes from Lion of Fire Ministries here on YouTube. And he wants all of us to know that we're just all completely wrong and crazy with how we think about atheism and the position, or rather belief positions in general about God. We're just entirely wrong about it. So we're going to get set straight tonight by the Lion of Fire's Matt, what the fuck is his name? Matt Mixon, Matt something or a fucking other. Hold on, I got his name right here. Matt Mason from Lion of Fire Ministries, gonna set us the fucketh straight. So, if you heathens out there want to know why you've been using, or so if you heathens want to fuck around and find out how you've been misunderstanding atheism, then please stay tuned. Industrial-sized Swiss Army knife and get yourself a fridge wallet. Just look at that size reduction. Instead of having a big old thing, now you got a little one. Ridge wallets can hold up to 12 cards and enough cash to make it rain. Also, your cash and cards are easily accessible, so you don't have to stand there and awkwardly sift through the collection of receipts that you keep for no reason. This would be a perfect Father's Day gift, and if you use the code Godless Engineer, then you'll get 15% off your order. They come in over 30 colors and styles, including this forged ember and burnt titanium. Get yourself a Ridge wallet today by going to ridge.com/Godless Engineer. All right, now go on and enjoy your show. Daniel M sent a super chat saying David says good night. Notification. There we go. I don't know if the notification's already come through. But David says good night. Good night there, David. Hope you have a great night tonight and an awesome weekend. And whatever stuffed toy you're holding, I hope that it is really awesome. And I hope you're having a lot of fun with it. So, so people were asking about the older GE twin. Yes, Brosifus is pushing Ridge this week. If you guys want to help support the channel, go and get 15% off a Ridge wallet over there on ridge.com/Godless Engineer. So if you guys remember, every single month we donate a portion of all the proceeds that we make off of Godless Engineer to some kind of charity. I do believe this month we're going to figure out a way that we can help the Ukrainians out, and so we're working on how we can do that. I know that we got a couple of ideas, but that's where this month's charity funds are going to be going. So if you want to help us help Ukrainians a little bit, you also want to help support the channel, consider sending a super chat like Daniel did, or you can become a member. Membership gives you a lot of great stuff, like a podcast that it's going about once every 2 weeks now that we can get to a podcast. But you get a podcast, you get to vote for the Friday night video, you get to comment on the video that we watch on Friday nights, and I will read that on stream, and we have a monthly hangout that we usually do. So if you want to be part of a great community, then consider becoming a Skeptic Mafia member. So now that we got all of that great stuff out of the way, we have a full show tonight. We've got Today I Learned, we've got some comments, and we've got Brosifus stopping by to tell us about some shit. And then we've got the video that we're actually going to be watching and a bonus video, because the original video is kind of short, but it's important to, address the points that he makes, even though I know a lot of people already know, how wrong he is, but some people might not. So we're going to be covering some basic shit about atheism tonight. And let's jump right on into the Today I Learned. Y'all ready to learn shit? I know you are, hon. You always love learning shit. Darren Wright used his monthly, his 3-month member chat, saying 3 months? How long is that in Satan years? I don't know, like 25.
Hey, this person
Quentin
just
Van
bought an
Booven
express
sending in
ticket
his
to
weekly tithe,
hell.
saying, I want this money to only go to the shittiest of things, all right? All right, the shittiest of things would be me taking ukulele classes. Today I learned! All right. Now, I know that you guys are going to be totally, blown away by this, okay? But if you didn't know, exposure to rags to riches TV programs make Americans more likely to believe in upward mobility and the narrative of the American dream. The prevalence of these TV shows may explain why so many Americans remain convinced of the prospects for upward mobility. Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like upward mobility is possible, but it's also very difficult. Like, as far as I go, I will never be super rich in that kind of upward mobility way, but I do think that some kind of upward mobility is possible, but it's very hard. All right, now let's see. Let's get to the next. Nope, not comments. All right, next today I learned. Today I learned during World War I, Canadians exploited the trust of Germans who had become accustomed to fraternizing with Allied units. They threw tins of corned beef into a neighboring German trench. When the Germans sounded, "More! Give us more!" the Canadians tossed a bunch of grenades over. So, I mean, they definitely hit their mark because they were like, "Oh, what is this? More food? Fuck!" Boom. It just fucking blew up in their face. So, I don't know. Maybe don't trust opposing sides. Like, because I doubt the Canadians were allied with the Germans. I don't know why they would trust them. Maybe they didn't know they were Canadian. Who knows? And then finally on Today I Learned, we have professional wrestler Scott Hall was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder years after killing a man in self-defense. Hall wrestled away the drunken man's gun and shot him in the head outside of Hall's place of work. Wow. I can see how that would be traumatizing. That sounds horrible. Somebody said that's not very Canadian. I agree. That was, it's like, sorry. You know, at least one of those troops said sorry, okay? That's just standard, no matter what. Yeah, that's right. Don't fuck with Canada. All right. So we do have like a new thing. So we've got comments of the day, but the friend of the Godless Engineer page or YouTube channel here, Alif, has done a intro for comments of the day that I thought was pretty nice. So we're gonna look at that right now, and I'm gonna play the little tune and sing the little song. Okay. Comments of the day. Prepare to face bomb yourself into next week. What? I don't know. Correction of the notes, so I don't know how well it came through, if it came through at all. But there you go. Was it terrible, honey? I should take singing lessons, huh? Or is it perfect? Terrible. I failed successfully. I think failed successfully is the right term for that. Anyways. All right. First up is Representative Marjorie Taylor Karen. She says, the Taliban is closing schools for girls above 6th grade. Democrats are replacing girls with boys in girl sports. They both have no respect for girls or women. Keep in mind, this is from a Trump Republican. You know, the guy that's known for grabbing women by the nether regions. We got Elizabeth Richardson, who says, weekly tide to help Ukraine also need more practice to sync up with that intro. Wow.
Here comes the gravy train.
Oh, apparently the uke didn't come through. Oh, okay. I should have definitely I should have put the mic a little bit closer to it, I guess. But anyways, so no, I mean, it's not that Democrats. It's not that Democrats don't respect women. I feel like it's definitely the Republicans that don't really give two shits about women. I mean, not only are they the party of the guy made famous for wanting to grab women by the crotch, but also it's the same guy who paid off a porn star to keep quiet, while he was married to Melania and running for president. I'm sorry, it just seems like the disrespect is more on the Republican side, and that's the like entire Republican Party, because not only do we have that asshole that exists out there and people are still fawning over, but you also have the assholes that are currently elected who are trying to get rid of abortion, the right to abortion. They want to stifle women's rights just across the board. I mean, it's so crazy. What was it? Utah? In Utah, the legislature passed a law that targeted a single girl. There was a single girl that this anti-trans law targeted. The entire legislature of the state made the law specifically for that person, it seems. The governor did veto it, so it's not an actual law. But my point is that the legislature there passed it. No, but it seemed like it. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Testing. You got me? Okay, so what happened was there are 4 known trans students in the state of Utah. 4. One of them that play sports, right? 4 trans students that play sports in Utah. One is a trans girl. This law only has to do with trans girls in school sports. So it really only impacted that one person. Right. So the governor was like, this is ridiculous.
Yes.
That's what happened.
It wasn't my intention to misrepresent it, but it just kind of seems like, oh, there's a trans girl in girl sports. We should make a law about this.
Yeah, I don't think they were thinking of it as this one girl. They weren't looking at this one girl in the sport in this school. They were just saying, oh, they're ruining women's sports or some shit, and we've got to take care of this huge problem that's not a problem. Right. And so then they made a law about it, just like many other states are making a law about it, when it's really not a problem. This is not a problem.
Yeah, it's a non-issue. Thank you, hon. All right. So it seems hypocritical for Marjorie Taylor Greene to complain about respecting women when she's in the party and takes positions that she does. On the subject of women, we've got this dipshit right here. Listen, okay, if you can't define what a woman is, how will you be able to hear arguments that involve women's reproductive rights? The biggest case that will come before the Supreme Court soon will be the argument over abortion rights. Well, first of all, I believe that it's a slight misconception that it's women's reproductive rights, because it's just reproductive rights in general. I feel like reproductive rights is inclusive for, everybody. So, they see it as exclusively their definition of women, but also, the science isn't exactly, the science isn't on their side with this, because like the gender is very different from sex. Gender can be expressed in a multitude of ways, and sex and gender are fairly complicated biologically speaking. So it just kind of seems like people like this, one, don't understand the issues, and two, don't understand that like Ketanji Brown, she doesn't have to know the definition of a woman to be able to rule on whether or not people in general should have reproductive rights. That is, it affects her decision in no way. It doesn't affect it at all. So, all right, hold on. We gotta turn on the crazy. Okay, one second. All right, y'all. Now listen up. Surprised she's not like going all crazy for this right now. All right, now listen. As it turns out, the president of Ukraine is a flaming homosexual, cross-dressing, high heels wearing bondage freak with a $40 million Florida mansion / 1.2 billions in Costa Rica, where you say he hid it underneath the ferns. Is deeply connected to Hollywood and the establishment elites. Hosts a multitude of U.S.-funded bioweapons labs, paid Hunter Biden millions of dollars in bribes, and was installed after the CIA and U.S. State Department effected a violent coup to oust a democratically elected administration before silencing and jailing opposition party leaders and turning off the real news in that country. I don't know, the last part of that really does sound a lot like what Putin does on the daily, doesn't it? Like, he turned off real news. He silences and jails opposition party leaders. I know that he put in a puppet government in Belarus, right? Yeah, it has been, but I mean, it's still a puppet government over there. So a lot of this sounds exactly like what Russia does. I don't know. Is this person posting from Russia? Or is he just bouncing off of a bunch of like servers to where it makes it seem like he's not posting from Russia? But anyways, all of this is kind of crazy. I mean, I did see a video where before becoming president of Ukraine, you know, Vladimir Zelensky, he was a comedian, and he actually played the piano with his dick. It was insinuated that it was his dick. It was him and his friend that were playing the piano. But anyways, my point is that I don't see anything wrong with any of that. Well, of course, all the fake stuff like $40 million Florida mansion, I don't know if that's true, or if the 1.2 billion in Costa Rica is true. I mean, I doubt it, but just seems really fucking crazy to me. But that's oh shit, choking like an adult. That's why I picked it. Okay, here's another crazy one. Oh, more tinfoil. We got tinfoil hat galore tonight. Okay, now listen. The message that was copied. Oh, we got some. Jason Kolasik says, "Oh my God, there's a vacuum between his ears. I thought screaming eyes triggered me, but blah." I don't like scream it like are my eyes screaming? Anyways. Thank you so much, Jason, for your
ain't nobody gonna be fighting over this $5. It's all right. Mine.
The message that was copied from Twitter to Xbox support will hopefully get a response due to the fact that the cyber terrorist content that's on my Xbox that I am able to delete manual. The fact that Xbox are all monitored, have cameras, and also have microphones is the exact reason why I know that you can remove the malware from my Xbox and that my profile, Spark Aurelius, has domestic terrorist or cyber terrorist viruses behind it, and you have done nothing. This kept me from my monetization notoriety and has possibly implicated Microsoft and Xbox and international rape scandals because there are people impersonating me. Hopefully you will something about this, because it would be a sad day that Microsoft, formerly Macrosoft, was implicated in identity theft, rape, and international terrorism. Hashtag Xbox. So this is a bunch of crazy shit. What's this Microsoft, formerly Macrosoft? It was never Macrosoft. I don't know what in the fuck it's talking about, but this was just like there's no punctuation, like even up here, like just literally no punctuation whatsoever. It all throughout this, no punctuation. So I don't know. That's just like a crazy thing that you read once and you're just like, wow. All right. This person, I may have read this before, I'm not sure. Yesterday, I went to a busy intersection in the city and put up a sign saying, "Free hugs for atheists." Free hugs over here, okay? Also candy, just step in my white van. Thousands of atheists came up for a hug. Most of them admitted they haven't felt the touch of another human for years. One even broke down in tears and said, "Thank you. This is all I needed to give up my life of atheism, crime, and drug abuse. Tomorrow I will go to church and rededicate my life to God." Atheists don't need scientific evidence or irrefutable facts to give up atheism. All they need is some love and kindness. Yeah, so Casey said it. Shit that didn't happen for 500, Alex. Oh yeah. Rest in peace, Alex Trebek. Who's currently hosting? Kit. Maya. Balik, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. So we got Math Wiz 742.
Hey, ain't nobody gonna be fighting over this $5. It's all mine.
Math Wiz 742 says that didn't happen so much. It unhappened things that actually did happen. Jester says, "I'm not going to deny that happened, but the atheist trolled you, bro." Yeah, I mean, if like that did happen, then it definitely was a troll. Apparently, KC has says thousands of atheists my asshole -KC 2022. That's the entire quote. Everybody just needs to put it in the chat right now. Yeah, so I don't know if I feel like if this is like a troll person posting it up, I feel like it's a little difficult to actually know what is a troll and what isn't now, and this is primarily at the fault of friggin' Trump supporters, because at this point, with it being so difficult to determine between troll and not a troll, it really makes it a difficult game to like play. Let's see, I got I'm turning on some extra $5 like chats. Just so that we have some variety instead of just that one. Okay, I saved it. It should update soon. All right, let's continue with these comments, and then we can get to the shitty ass science I know everybody wants to hear. All right, next up, just to let y'all know, I'm a straight up. I have a few truth groups. I'm anti-vax. I believe COVID is a lie. I believe in weather manipulation. chemtrails are real. I also believe that crap is going to hit the fan. I do research on a ton of things. I also research flat Earth. That just means he's shitting a lot. Like, maybe he should have his colon checked. I don't know. I don't know what they mean by I'm a straight up. Like, are they trying to say that they're like cis? I don't. Oh. Oh, okay. So they're just stupid. That's what it means. They're just stupid. Got it. So I have a few truth groups. So they personally own a few truth groups, and they're anti-vax and believe COVID is a lie. We got Cadence.
Here comes the gravy train.
Cadence saying just making a donation to fund toe chains for the Ukrainian farmers growing collection. Oh, cool. Thank you there, Cadence. So yeah, this is just all a bunch of crazy shit.
Maybe you should quit drinking all that beer, G.
Quentin Van Booven says, new drinking game, troll or not a troll. If you think it's a troll, take a shot. If you think it's not a troll, you take a shot. MathWiz742 says, I was in an atheist group in university. We had a free hugs from atheists sign we'd take to events.
Hey,
oh, that's interesting.
This person just bought an express ticket to hell.
KC just wants a sign that says stay 6 feet the fuck away from me. Okay, I think we just got one more. Yep. This is the last comment. It's a little bit of a doozy here. Nothing says love like posting a crusader with a blood-soaked sword, right? Anyways, Adrienne says, our country is the way it is because we elected leaders with no faith in God and no belief that there are consequences for their earthly actions in the afterlife. How's that working out for you? So you thought that posting a crusader with a blood-soaked knife is the best way to talk about somebody having no belief in the consequences for their actions? I mean, what the fuck? Is this a troll? Troll or not a troll? I don't know. Either way. Anyways. All right, so that's going to be it for comments today. I don't have to address anything because they're obviously wrong. There aren't leaders that are elected with no faith in God. A majority of the leaders that we have elected have all believed in God. So it just kind of seems a little weird, doesn't it? But anyways, we're gonna get on to the Brocephus section of the show. That would be shitty ass science. So hope you guys are ready for this shit. I'm not, but hey, whatever. We're gonna give it a go. No, Casey, I will not take my shirt off for you. You can't see my titties. Well, why are you gonna take my blankets? They protect me from the ghosts. What? We all know that you hide under the covers to get rid of the ghosts. Anyways. All right. What do we got tonight? What's up, heathens? Y'all going to hell yet? Of course you are. Anyways, tonight I'm here to give a TED talk about some bullshit, and it's the workers refilling the Earth's core with molten lava during the Great Lava Shortage of 1912. Yeah, you didn't know that happened? the center of the Earth ran out of molten rock and lava. So we actually had to create it here on the surface and feed it through our sewer system down into it, okay? So it is true. We have a picture of it right the fuck here. Of course Confederates shot pterodactyls. What the fuck is wrong with you? We have pictures of that too. Matt Powell sings that song about it. Or, well, that guy sings a song about Matt Powell talking about it. Anyway, you know that it's true because there's pictures. You fucking atheists are always looking for pictures. Well, guess what? It's right here. Anyways, the reason why the center of the Earth ran out of lava is because we got so many of these goddamn volcanoes going off everywhere. Okay, all along the fault lines and shit, they're just volcano. It's like the Earth was popping zits, and we just had to refill it, because if we don't refill it, then we lose our magnetic field, and that's going to be really bad for us, because then the sun is going to directly slap the fuck out of the Earth, and we'll all be destroyed, like in that one Nicolas Cage movie called The Knowing. Yeah, we'll get fucked really hard by the sun, like in The Knowing. Okay, so that's why, you know, God gave us our really complex brains, all right? And we were able to figure out how to create lava so that we could feed it back to the Earth. And that's what happened in 1912, right there. All right? Now, I don't want to hear this shit about how it's about prohibition or anything like that, okay? Because it wasn't. They was pouring out lava, dipshits. Anyways, heathens, I know you're all going to hell, so you might as well get on the highway now and crank up that AC/DC, because I'm out of here. I will be going off to suck Jesus' dick, and y'all can fuck off, okay? I will see you heathens later. Goodbye, fuckers. Shit, that's like slamming the door on a tent right there. Anyways, bye, heathens. You know why I pour up my ass? Just exactly appreciate fucking attitude. I meant, I'm sorry, I'm going to bed. Also, Josephus getting lippy tonight. He turned this shit around quick. Anyways, so yeah, this is actually I believe it's a prohibition picture where they're pouring out alcohol into the sewer, I guess. All I can say is the gators, they must have gotten really drunk that day in those sewers. I mean, yeah, why not, right? Maybe in Florida. No, I think the whole gator sewer thing is a urban legend. But in any case, you know, there was so much good alcohol wasted, and I'm not gonna pour one out for the alcohol, because the alcohol, just because I feel like that's just, you know, rubbing it in its face. So I drank it instead, like it was meant to be done. Anyways, so we're done with that shit. Y'all ready to get to the review? Oh, we got Who's Your Buddy? Who's Your Buddy saying, sorry, bro Cephas, but that was hot sauce. The magma man at the center of the Earth keeps our core.
Maybe you should quit drinking all that beer, GE.
I will not quit drinking beer. Magma men at the center of the Earth keeps our core molten, and they need that hot sauce for their fiery poos. Yes, that if that was taco sauce, taco hot sauce, then it would definitely heat their poos up. That's true. Anyways, all right, let's get to let's get to the review video. All right, so tonight we do have a short video. So I pulled another video of this guy from his channel, specifically the shorts portion of his channel, because this guy not only uploads regular videos but also does shorts on his channel, which is kind of a bad idea if you're really looking to hit the algorithm right, but you know, whatever. So we're gonna look at this first video from him about how atheists or atheism is a fairy tale for adults. So yeah, it's a fairy tale for adults. I don't know if you knew that, hon. Fairy tale adults.
Atheism is the most silly position that anyone can hold, because you have to believe that nothing created everything and then redefine nothing to mean something.
Well, that's not exactly true. Okay, so atheism has nothing to do with the beginning of the universe. It's literally just, you know, a person not believing in a god. Like that's that at its basic form. That's what it is. Now there are people that define atheism a little bit differently, and we'll get into that here in a little bit in a bit more specific way. But as far as like atheism in its most general form, it's just not believing in a god. Like that's it. And so it has nothing to do with the beginning of the universe or anything like that. He does acknowledge that he understands that the scientific version of nothing is different than what he calls nothing. Because like right here in my hand, he would say that I have nothing in my hand, but in actuality, it's full of you know, air particles and probably some dust or something. I don't know, but it's full of shit, right? Like it's not a vacuum that's in my hand, right? It's not full of literal shit. Thank you, honey. You want to get back on the mic? You sure? So, there's that. He thinks that we redefined nothing, and I feel like we just fully explained what we meant by nothing at that point. But in any case, atheism has nothing to do with the beginning of the universe, so that cannot be a reason why it's a quote unquote fairy tale.
But you might say, I'm an atheist and I don't believe that. Well, you have to believe that out of necessity if you hold to the position.
No, you actually don't. I mean, you could believe in some kind of eternal, like, you know, eternal existence on some level that has always been here that, you know, the universe inflated from. So, we got Jason Kolosak with a member chat saying, handful of tree farts! Thank you there, Jason. I appreciate that. But yeah, let's see what else he's got.
There's no alternative. Give me one piece of scientific evidence, one example, scientific, observable, testable, repeatable, of something coming from nothing, or of life coming from non-life.
I don't have to do any of that because none of that is concerned with atheism. Atheism is just whether or not somebody believes in a god. Now, you want to talk about Gnostic atheism, which again, we're going to get into more specifics here in a minute. If you want to talk about Gnostic atheism or the claim that there is no God, I still don't have to show you scientific evidence of that or scientific evidence of life coming from non-life, because none of that has anything to do with whether or not God exists. But you could easily turn this around on this guy by saying, hey, just give me one scientific piece of scientific evidence that proves that your God is the one true God that exists, or just that any God exists. I mean, you could turn that around on him. I mean, all he has is just speculative claims that God created all life and that God created this universe. Does science have explanations for those things? Yeah, it does. But science is not only done by atheists. There are theistic scientists out there. There are theistic evolutionists out there that, you know, believe that God created life and then used evolution in order to diversify life into the many forms that it exists today. So it amazes me how myopic this person is, and we'll see, I guess, how, like, the extent of how myopic he is in a little bit.
or of the rational coming from the irrational, chaos, or intelligent information not coming from an intelligent mind?
I mean, if your God's the version of intelligent, I mean, I would say that there's still not intelligent information coming from an intelligent mind, or any kind of structured information. I mean, if you read the Bible and actually read the Bible, that shit's not intelligent.
I'll give you a clue. There is no example. It's not possible. Because atheism is a fairy tale for adults.
Well, but it's not, because atheism is just somebody not believing in a God, in general, and in its basic form, that's what atheism is. And as an atheist, you don't have to answer any of these questions because you're not making a positive claim. But you could use science in order to explain these things to the person, but that would be stepping outside of atheism, because the origin of life, whether or not the universe started, none of those things have a bearing on whether or not God exists. But you know what they do have a bearing on? They have a bearing on whether or not his God exists, whether or not Yahweh exists. That's what it matters. That's the point at which it matters, because the origin of life, and the origin of the universe, all of those things matter to his creationist version of God.
Because not even children are silly enough to believe it.
Well, there's no real active belief about atheism unless you're a Gnostic atheist, right? So I would say that most children are not of the atheist persuasion. I would classify most children as being secular, being not really all that concerned with religion until you force it on them. It's kind of funny coming from a Christian with an evangelical ministry, for him to say, oh, children don't even believe in this. Yeah, because you don't allow them to form their own fucking opinions. Anyways, that subject pisses me off. Y'all want to go on to the real video for tonight? Okay, so here's the real video for tonight, which apparently the actual video is a little bit bigger than the screen that I have on top of it. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So tonight we're talking with this guy, Matt Mason. Matt Mason? Yes, Matt Mason. Tonight we're talking with, or not talking with, tonight we're examining this video by Lion of Fire Ministries, pastor or organizer, something like that, Matt Mason. That Lion of Fire Ministries is his YouTube channel. He's going to be telling us how we're so deeply wrong about atheism. And I just wanted to take a brief second to actually kind of explain how I view this particular topic of defining atheism. And I feel like it's a very fruitless topic. I believe that it's important to know what your interlocutor believes or affirms or doesn't affirm. I feel like knowing their positions is more important than applying some kind of label to them. But if you have to apply a label to it, like for me, I would be called an agnostic atheist. And there's a lot of pushback in the community right now for some fucking reason about that particular label. And the reason why is because they seem to really want to hold on to the philosophical definition of atheism. But the problem is that dictionaries in whatever form are descriptive and not prescriptive. So it's a dictionary fallacy to pull out a philosophical dictionary and say, oh, this is the only way that atheism can be defined. And you have to understand how people use words, and the use of the word atheism and the whole concept has changed over the years. Currently, how we understand these belief positions is that atheism is just not believing in a God, or the person could mean that they believe no God exists. those are two possible definitions that somebody could mean when they say atheism. That's why I say it's important to really know what their position is. Now, as far as agnostic goes, that really only discusses your knowledge about something. So you can be agnostic about a lot of things, not just God. So saying that you're agnostic doesn't really tell me what you're agnostic about. Saying that you're agnostic about God means that you don't know whether or not God exists. You could be a pure agnostic on the question and not even know what your position is, and that's a totally fine position to take. Albeit it's a little confusing in general, but you can still take that position. Now, that's why I like to classify myself as an agnostic atheist. Now, that means that I don't know whether or not a deity exists, but I don't believe that one does exist. And that might not seem like a big difference from a lot of different ways that you could phrase it, but the nuance is, while subtle, very important, because I'm agnostic on the idea of God in general. I don't know if a deity exists, deity or deities exist at all. I just simply don't know. I don't think that we'll ever know. And so that makes me an agnostic on that part. But when you get to specific definitions of God, most notably, all the definitions of God that we have right now, I am an atheist in the very Gnostic sense. I would be considered a Gnostic atheist on that part, because I can definitely take on the burden of proving the claim that those gods don't exist. Okay? Now, because I don't believe any God exists, or I don't believe in any God, I would in general call myself an atheist, because in the colloquial version of atheism and the label atheist that is used, that's what people mean. And so that's how I use it. But to be more explicit, I say agnostic atheist. But there are multiple definitions for atheism, and this is even recognized in the academic scholarship that analyzes beliefs and stuff. So just keep that in mind, that atheism is multifaceted. You could mean any number of things by the label of atheism, and that's why it's important to know where a person stands on a position rather than applying whatever label you want to apply to them. All right, now with all that out of the way, let's get to a shitty video. Best way to start out the video, huh?
Many atheists seem to be confused over what an atheist actually is, what the definition of atheism is. Many atheists today want to say that atheism is the lack of belief in a God, whereas traditionally atheism has always been defined as a positive assertion that God does not exist.
So this is kind of a weird place to start from as far as definitions go, because I mean, I do disagree with the phrase lack of belief. But I also recognize that a lot of people use it synonymously for, I don't believe in a God. So lacking a belief or not believing in a God being essentially the same thing, I can get on board with I don't believe in a God. Okay. And that's what I mean by atheist, and that's what most people mean by atheist. But you oftentimes, shit. my ear says low battery, so probably. Well, no, I'm gonna have to take them both out and run it through the speakers here in a minute. So, yeah, why don't you hold on one second, everybody. All right, 1 second, everybody, while I adjust everything here. Okay, so I'll probably end up having to mute myself and unmute myself, so I'll have to manage that. But anyways, so basically what he's laying out in this first section here is this whole idea that theists, they actively believe in a God, and atheists actively believe that there is no God. And that's the kind of dichotomy that he makes here. But I really don't understand this dichotomy. I understand how philosophers and I guess philosophy dictionaries use it in that sense. But as far as linguistics go, I feel like saying that atheism is the belief that God does not exist, I feel like that's too strict of a definition for general use.
Donating this much only makes me drink more.
That's fucking right. It only makes me drink more. The Jim Tanker says technical difficulties with GE. Anyways, so I find it to be kind of a weird dichotomy to draw there, because when you look at it linguistically, you've got theism, which is the belief in a God, and then you have atheism, which would be not believing in a God. And that seems to be the most natural way to look at it. But as I said before, there's multiple ways that you could define atheism. So it's always best to understand what your interlocutor means by whatever label that they're going with, or it's best just to understand their positions is what is the best thing to do. Oh, also, I love how this theist is trying to gatekeep fucking atheism. Like that right there just will always make me chuckle to myself, because like, who the fuck are you to gatekeep atheism? Casey said, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Just a little bit of money.
Jason Kolisak says, one suggests you need positive proof of non-existence. Yeah, I agree. If you're going to take the position that no gods exist, like as a positive claim, then you would have to prove that. That's why I don't. Now, I do take on that position when it comes to specific definitions. So like the Yahweh God, or any of the Abrahamic versions of God, or any other specific definition of God, I feel like I could directly point out how those gods do not comport with reality, and so therefore they do not exist, because they make very specific claims that you can disprove. But I don't think that God will ever be something that we can either prove or disprove, and that's why I consider myself an agnostic, as well as atheist.
Atheist, no God, as opposed to the position where we don't know, which is agnostic, don't know.
Right. So my question, and maybe people in the chat can answer me this, but considering his definitions of atheist being the positive claim that God does not exist, theism being, I guess, the positive claim that God does exist, and then agnostic being, I don't know if God exists. On that scale, where does I don't believe in God? I don't, like, I feel like his scale here does not incorporate all of the possible, like, belief positions. Yeah, that's right, honey. It also doesn't logically flow, as pointed out by KC, because she refuses to get on the mic. So, but it seems like it's really rather constrictive. I feel like if you're, I feel like if the way that you're defining your terms cannot encompass like all of the positions that you could possibly take, I feel like there's no point in laying those out, right? And I mean, that might seem like a hard thing to do, but that's why things are laid out in dichotomies and easy, like 1, 2, or 3 kind of possible positions that you could have on something, because like out of his definitions here, you really can't define somebody that just simply doesn't believe in God, right? You've got the one person that says, oh, I believe that God exists, or somebody that says that God does exist. Then you've got the other person that says, I know that, or I guess I know that God doesn't exist, or I claim that God doesn't exist. And then there's the I don't knows. Where's the I don't believe? I don't see that in there. That's why theism and atheism is, those two positions are supposed to only apply to beliefs. And then agnostic gnostic is supposed to apply to knowledge claims. And while they're closely related, there is a distinction between knowledge claims and belief claims. You can believe something to be true and it's not really true. And then you can know something is true by using, facts of reality, or facts that we all agree on and everything like that. So there is a distinction between the two, but his definitions seem to break that distinction down and, or rather just fucking ignore it.
But atheists today want to say, no, I'm not asserting that there is no God. I'm simply saying that I have a lack of belief in God because there's a lack of evidence for a God.
To Timothy, what the fuck ever? Shut the fuck up. What are you doing?
I blew my load.
I was muted through that. So we got thank you, Scott Stanton, for your super chat. And we got I Heart Dogs saying, I'm agnostic atheist in general, but Gnostic atheist, re Abrahamic God. Yeah, I'm right there with you. No, my mic didn't die. I was muted. So oh, that's because I got normal latency on and not ultra low. Hold on, let me go back and re-listen to what he said.
I'm not asserting that there is no God. I'm simply saying that I have a lack of belief in God because there's a lack of evidence for a God.
Right. So I don't really see a problem with that particular position because I don't see a problem with you not believing in a God that lacks a lot of evidence or that has no evidence to support its existence. And I don't see where you fit in on that scale. Like, forego the labels. Where would a person that doesn't believe in God because of the lack of evidence, like, where would that person go? I'm guessing that he would force that person into the agnostic position, but that's not really the position that they hold. Because it's not, whether or not they know that God exists. Like, the pure agnostic position is, I don't know, and we cannot know whether or not God exists. And I feel that way about a general idea of a deity, but, how am I supposed to describe myself as far as, how people generally see God? And how people generally talk about God, discuss God. It's a very specific definition. And in that way, I can say that I am Gnostic on those gods. But ultimately, I do not believe in a God because that covers both of the positions. It covers not believing in, or it covers the agnostic position and it covers the Gnostic position. So it seems like it's a very inclusive way to refer to yourself as an atheist. But like I said, forego the labels. Where on his particular scale would somebody that doesn't believe in God due to a lack of evidence, where would that person fit in? And I don't think that you'll have a good position because you can't force them into the agnostic position because that's not really their position. It's more complicated than that.
But that is not the definition of atheism. That's as silly as me saying, well, I'm a theist. No, I'm not affirming that God is true. I'm just saying that I lack belief that atheism is true.
I mean, that's kind of a stupid way to refer to it. It's like doing a double negative, almost. I mean, it's just like saying I lack a belief in the lack of belief of God. What? So you believe in God? I mean, that you could go ad infinitum with either position on that, and I mean, ultimately, you're just repeating information when you could just easily say I believe in God, and the atheist would be like, oh, okay, I don't believe in God. And that would be the atheist position. It's like I'm having to explain this to a 4-year-old, but the 4-year-old just simply isn't getting it. And the 4-year-old keeps asking why, and having to explain it so many different fucking times.
The reason why atheists do this is because they want to remove the burden of proof completely from any position that they have.
Well, no, that's not true. If that were true, then we would say that we don't have the burden of proof for, any definition of God. But like, if someone says, oh, Yahweh is the true God.
You are blessed by Christ, ma'am. Or sir. You are blessed.
Jane Pusecker says, according to a recent study called the No Q Report, while many people in the United States profess to be Christian, they found that only 10% of Christians in the USA hold to a biblical worldview. Well, I feel like biblical worldview is creationism. Would that not be a biblical worldview? Creationism? Right. Okay. I guess I just don't know what that particular study meant by biblical worldview. Because Casey said that you could define it a couple of different ways, in that creationism could be biblical, but it could also not be biblical. So I don't know. It depends on how they define that. Anyways, thank you for your super chat there, Jane. I appreciate it. What does this motherfucker say again?
From any position that they have.
Oh, yeah. Hellbound Hillbilly says, I just believe...
Donating this much only makes me drink more.
Hellbound Hillbilly says, I disbelieve your lack of belief in my rejection of your evidence for a deity. So it's definitely not that we're trying to forego any kind of burden of proof. Now, in my previous example, is like the person says, oh, my God is the one true God. It's like, well, then you have to support that with evidence. But if I say, oh, well, Yahweh definitely doesn't exist, then it would be upon me to prove that God or the Bible or whatever doesn't comport with reality. And I could easily do that. Uh-oh, I got all my steps in today. 10,000! So, I mean, it really just depends on who's making the argument. If I'm an atheist, that does not mean that I am making like any kind of positive claim. But on the flip side, I would say that just because someone's a theist, they're not necessarily making a positive claim either. Because it is, as far as I'm concerned, somebody saying, oh, well, I'm a theist means, I believe in God. If you say that you're a Christian, oh, I'm a Christian, that just means that you believe in Jesus Christ or the Abrahamic God, not in general, but like Jesus Christ and the God of Jesus. So you're just telling me like what you believe. Like these are just factual things about your current state of mind. that you believe in these things. It's when you say, oh, Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven. It's like, oh, can you prove that? Like, I don't think you can, but I mean, you can go ahead and try. In the same way, if I were to say, oh, Jesus is not real, or Jesus never existed in history, it is my burden to prove that. So it's definitely not that we're trying to absolve ourselves from any kind of burden of proof. We're just trying to have an effective conversation, and people like this Matt guy seem to just try to muddy the waters and force us into a conversation where we're having to prove a negative. That's not how shit works, Matt.
Where they can just question you and they can be completely off the hook. But as I said, traditionally, this has never been the definition of atheism, and no theist will take this definition seriously.
I don't know why not. If you go to Google right now and do define atheism, if I can fucking type atheism, disbelief, or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. I mean, it's right there from Oxford Languages. Like I said before, it is descriptive, not prescriptive. This jackass is using a dictionary fallacy because he thinks that dictionaries are prescriptive. Like, this is how we should use these words, when in fact language changes and evolves over time. Currently, the way that we generally use atheism, it's to denote someone that disbelieves or has a lack of belief or does not believe in any god or gods. I don't know why a theist wouldn't take that seriously, considering it's in the fucking dictionary. It's like, well, let me just pull out my dictionary right here. Well, fuck.
So what I would ask the atheist is this, or anyone for that matter. There are three possible positions that you can believe. One is that God exists. Two is that you don't know if God exists. He may not.
Wait, he's laying out his whole scale here. I missed the very first one.
Positions that you can believe. One is that God exists. Two is that you don't know if God exists. He may not. And three is that God does not exist. And I would ask, which one of these are you closer to? Which one of these most resembles your beliefs?
Okay, I can't answer this, but it's going to be somewhat of a complicated answer. Because, like I said before, if we're talking about a general deity, not specifically theism, not specifically, anything in general, just a deity that exists out there, then I would be agnostic. I don't know if some asshole deity exists outside of all reality and created everything. I mean, that's possible, albeit a very small possibility, but it's still there and I acknowledge it. So I ultimately don't know. But for your specific claim about God being Christianity, being Jesus, I would definitely be in the camp that your God does not exist. But that's why I use the phrase agnostic atheist, because I don't believe in a God, but I also don't know if a God exists or not. I do know I'm Gnostic on whether or not his God exists. So the way that he's laid it out makes he's attempting. So with the way that this guy has laid out his scale here, he's trying to force you to only go into one of these three baskets, if you will. And the problem is that the conversation is so complicated that you really can't just firmly set your feet in any one basket. For me, I've got 1 foot in the agnostic basket and 1 foot in the atheist basket. And that's why I feel like having theist and atheist only apply to whether or not you believe something to be true, mainly that God exists. And then Gnostic and agnostic being that whether or not you know that God exists or not. I feel like that granularity, the granularity that distinction gives us can more than appropriately describe somebody's position in this conversation. Saying that you're an agnostic atheist, you automatically know, oh, they don't know if God exists, but they don't believe in one. That seems so easy to me, does it not? It seems straightforward and logical to define it that way. But with the way that he's defined it, you either have to say, nope, no gods exist at all, or I don't know. And you see, I feel like this puts him in the prime position to be like, oh, well, if you don't know, that means that my God could exist. It's like, no, buddy, because I know that your God doesn't exist. And that's because you have a lot of claims that you make that don't comport with reality. If that's your God, then he definitely doesn't exist. So that's why. So ultimately, roundabout way of saying this, his particular scale is shit, and he's trying to force you to say that you're in a position that you're not in. He's trying to force you to jump in a basket that you don't belong in. And he's trying to make you whittle down this complex conversation over whether or not God exists into, such a simple conversation that it will never be able to fully explain like what people are talking about.
If it's number one, then you're a theist. If it's number two, then you're an agnostic.
What the fuck ever? Shut the fuck up.
Oh, we got Jim Tanker saying, shut the fuck up. And saying you need to have a talk with Matt Dillahunty about this. I'm sure he can clear it right up. I'm wanting to say, I know that Matt has had a weird past with like the label agnostic atheist, but I think he's currently in favor of like that as being a label. I know in the past he said that it doesn't make sense, but I want to say that I've heard him say that it it's a perfectly fine label to use now. I don't know.
If it's number three, then you're an atheist.
I mean, yes, if you say that no gods exist, then you would be classified as an atheist. But that's not the only thing that classifies people as atheists. Because an atheist that says no God exists would also be an atheist that says they don't believe in a God. And not believing in a God seems to be the common thing that ties all atheists together. I'm wondering if this guy would put people that don't believe in God into the agnostic thing. Like because if they don't believe in a God, then that means that they don't know if a God exists, right? But like I said before, I feel like his scale here it doesn't provide enough nuance to accurately describe people's positions.
So rather than getting into this argument over definitions and playing word games and semantics, let's cut to the chase.
Let's forego all of the semantics and the pedantic shit and just follow my pedantic semantical argument. Your entire video is about semantics and forcing people to use your semantics in this conversation. It perplexes me how he can be like, instead of playing these word games, let's play my word games, motherfucker.
And answer which one of these three positions do your belief systems most closely resemble, and that will determine what your belief system should be called.
But I feel like, and that's going to be it for his video. Like I said, it was short, but we knew it was going to be short. I feel like his particular set of baskets would have people. Well, I feel like his particular set of baskets here, like his three positions that you could possibly hold in the conversation, they only convolute the conversation even more, because they make it more difficult to communicate what your position is. And I highly suggest that people out there try to think of it in terms of belief and knowledge, and try to describe your position as accurately as you can, because his 3 positions don't describe, the vast majority of people out there. Like a vast majority of Christians could call themselves Gnostic theists. And those would be people that know that God exists and believe that God exists. So, I mean, I just think that everybody needs to take a second and consider that knowing what your interlocutor's position is more important than applying a label to them or forcing them into a label. And really, consider what kind of conversation you're having. If you're having general discussions on God, like, the cosmological argument proves God, that God created the entire universe. That's a little bit more specific than a general deity that exists, right? And so you gotta consider what they're actually arguing. Are they actually arguing for a general deity? Are they actually arguing for a specific definition? And then your position is going to change, and that's perfectly fine to have a complicated position on this particular conversation. I feel like complicated is the only way that your position can really exist. Unless you're a Gnostic atheist. If you're a Gnostic atheist, then you have a pretty simple position. You obviously don't believe in a God, but you also know that gods don't exist. And it would be up to you to prove that. And I know that there are plenty of atheists out there that think that they can do this. And if they can, you're more than welcome to do it. Anyways. All right. Well, that's going to be it for the video tonight, heathens. If you will, please go down below and let me know what you thought about Matt's video or the first video that we covered. Either one, atheist being a fairy tale, or the definition of atheism, which is always a fun discussion to have. Let me know down below in the comments. While you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content, like this kind of Friday night stream. Let me know and by smashing that subscribe button. And hey, before y'all head out, consider joining the Skeptic Mafia, because we're a really great group. We're about to go into the Skeptic Mafia comments. The Skeptic Mafia usually has a lot of great insight into these kinds of videos, so please consider sticking around to listen to what the Skeptic Mafia has to say. And I guess I will see all of you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we got the Skeptic Mafia comments. Okay, thank you, hun. Let's see. Let me get to this, to the post for tonight. Oh, there it is. No held for review. Awesome. If they'll pull up. There we go. All right. Caden says, I have an encyclopedia of 2,500 plus gods, and I firmly believe none of them exist. One or more may, but not as written by man. I can agree with that there, Cadence, because I don't know if any God exists, but definitely as defined by men, or rather people in the past, I simply don't think that any of those exist. All right, so we got Daniel M's up first. Daniel says, how about this? Let the person you're talking to describe where their position is. I claim agnostic atheist because it is impossible to positively say there is no God, just as much as it is impossible to claim there is one. I do not believe there is a God, and if somehow we were to discover the answer to that, I would bet that there is no God. I don't think it would be silly at all for someone to say they can't affirm God is real, but believe that there might be one. That would be agnostic theist. I'm sure that position exists. These people need to stop trying to paint everyone in a corner. It's extremely difficult to have a good conversation with that person, but that's not what this guy wants. He only hopes to trip up his interlocutor into at least saying they don't know. Then it's time to swoop in for the kill and give the whole "it's possible, therefore probable" shit. Join the Skeptic Mafia and play with the whale peen. No need for interpretation or misinterpretation. It's exactly as it sounds. John can fill you in. Yes, so if you if you join at the shill level on the Skeptic Mafia, you can use the whale peen. And of course, all levels after the shill level get it too, but in the side chat, you can use all the emoticons that you want to. So you can definitely do that. And I know I've seen the Mafia members use the emoticons liberally. So next we got Quentin Van Booven, who says, a 2.5-minute video? No way I can write a thesis on this. Quentin says, oh boy, someone is going to tell me how I am wrong about how I label myself. Atheism, at least to my knowledge, has also just been a lack of belief with no assertion of knowledge. If the definition has shifted over time, it is probably to line up with how people use the word now. Anyhow, I don't have any more to say on this. I'm going to do a short shilling tonight. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you can join the Skeptic Mafia so we can use your money for shitty things, index at 1, buy good, and watch only Star Trek. We actually watched 2 Star Trek movies today, so we did watch Star Trek, but I still have a heart for Firefly. I Heart Dog says, thanks for your definitions. Let's move on. Notice how he skips the belief part until the very end? I think digging your heels in and stubbornly asserting what our assertions have to be is no way to communicate. Join the mafiosos. Get cool emoticons like these. Also enjoy hangouts and be terrible by donating to charities. Help pick out the videos. I'm done. Thank you, I Heart Dogs. Yes, you get to pick out videos every single week. I put up a poll for you guys to pick, and this week, you guys picked this one. So, it's really just the Skeptic Mafia's fault this week. I'm just saying. I'm not blaming. That is kind of me blaming. Thank you, I Heart Dogs. Next is Jester, Lord of Fools. Jester says, cool story, bro. The response here is simple. Thank you for showing that you're going to be one of those pedantic dick shits who spends the entire time arguing about definitions to dictate to me what I believe instead of anything of actual substance. It's funny because he was like, let's not be pedantic, while the entire video was being pedantic. I will just go ahead and leave without wasting my fucking time on you. Really, I should thank you. You saw an opportunity to spread the good news, and you decided that getting in a definition fight was the best way to go about that, instead of say, asking a clarifying question and accepting the explanation. Watch how easy the exchange is. Atheist, I'm an atheist. We got Drew's book reviews with a milestone chat saying, hello, hope you are doing well. You guys rock, and remember, the god of evolution is an atheist. Lol, Discworld. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate you. So, atheist. I'm an atheist. Non-dickwad. Would you characterize your atheism as agnostic or hard atheism? Atheist. Agnostic. Regardless of that, whether or not anyone is making a positive claim stems thusly. Agnostic. No claim whatsoever. Hard atheist. There's no God. My proof is that in all of history, no one has proven a God. They don't actually need anything else to back their claim. Theist. There is a God. A clear positive claim that requires proof if you want people to take action based upon it. Let me clarify here. No one cares if you believe in a god, goddess, or goddesses until you bring it to the public sphere and talk about, say, abortion rights. Once you do, though, it's either a religious claim that separation of church and state negates, or you need undeniable proof that your deity exists and is against it. And even then, the argument only changes to whether or not we intend to stand against the deity, because shockingly, if a god did exist, morality would still be subjective. I don't have to bow. I just have to be willing to accept the consequences of my decisions, whether I know them or not. Case in point, Putin knows the likely outcomes of his war. He's continuing regardless. It's a dumb move that I hope concludes against him soon, but he was still able to objectively do it despite risking getting smited by literal nukes. I'm guessing that Putin was relying on people's want to not have a nuclear war, and so that's pretty much what people don't want, is a nuclear war. Jonathan Nichol says, I'd swear the videos you are picking are getting shorter and shorter, and I'll not be surprised if we get a second video as a space filler to pad out the video. GE, when you include 2 videos, why not link both of them? Then we can comment on both videos, not just the first. Well, I only linked the one video because that's the video that y'all voted on. And that's the main topic that we're covering. If I pick out another video as like space filler or whatever, I feel like that's somewhat similar to like picking out comments or something. So I only post up the one video that you guys voted on because that's the one that you guys wanted to see. And so I feel like that's the fairest way to do that. Looking at what we have, it is this old definition argument again. I really don't care. Dictionaries are descriptive, not prescriptive. They don't define words, but rather explain common usages. Also, I am not convinced that long ago the word atheist was only used in the form that he implies. I really don't care what the theists take seriously when they can't back their claims up with actual evidence. I agree with all of that. His problem, as he explains, is the burden of proof, or lack thereof. He wants to force a burden onto us when we don't have one. That makes his argument and his motivation dishonest. As for his question, it was just an attempt to label non-convinced atheists as agnostics. Nothing but pointless word games. Even if the word atheist didn't describe me, which it does, it wouldn't change my position. I thought I might ask, what would convince you that God exists? So something along those lines. Instead, he just wanted to define terms. Yeah, I know. He didn't want to be, he wanted us to stop playing word games just so that he could be the only one that's playing them. That's the best way to win an argument. Trickster! What's up, Trickster? Trickster says, here we go again. trying to change definitions and shift the burden of proof. I am an agnostic atheist who simply believes that the proofs that have been put forward get nowhere close to proving the existence of any god or gods. No matter how many times you change definitions or try to shift the burden of proof, you still cannot come up with anything to point me in the direction of belief in the supernatural. No matter how hard you try to preach to me and break out the Bible like it makes your point any more real, in the end I cannot take anything serious when all you have is my book, and I really, really want it to be true. As an atheist, I can say that there is a possibility that God or gods exist. I also believe that there is a possibility that Bigfoot exists, and that doesn't mean that Bigfoot does exist. The thing is, I can find pictures of something that could be a Bigfoot, and I can find all sorts of eyewitness stories. But until they can put a Bigfoot in front of me, it will remain in the realm of something possible, but not yet proven. Can any apologists like this guy ever say that maybe there is no God? See, I think that apologists like this guy and other, very public apologists out there, I really don't think that they can consider a world without God. Like, I think that they're so blinded by their faith that they just cannot conceive of it whatsoever. Like, subscribe, and share this. And if you want to be a part of what happens on this little show we all love, join us in the Skeptic Mafia. For a few dollars, you get to vote on which crazy video we get to make fun of, and then drop a comment to be read by GE himself. You get special emojis to use in the chat when you are watching GE doing something live, or a premiere, which is also technically live. And don't forget those evil atheists, that these evil atheists will give a portion of their money to a worthy cause. It's a lot of fun. No God needed. Thank you, Trickster. Yeah, so we do donate every single month. A portion of our proceeds go to some kind of charitable cause. This month, we are going to be donating a portion of our proceeds to helping people in Ukraine. So we're going to be focusing on that. Next up is Jonathan Hanachek. Jonathan says, oh, great, a nice short video, so hopefully it'll be short, sweet, and to the fucking point. No, fail, double fail, the fuck are you talking about again? Fuck me, okay, stupid. That was a lot of emotions. I mean, it was like a roller coaster going like this. Yeah, there's been a gray area, but what you said, I would accept that theist means believe in God. Agnostic means you don't know if God it does or doesn't exist. And atheist being that God definitely does not exist in one shape or another. But other than that, you're fucking lost me, you moron. Wow. Now, if you want more of this shitty ass content from idiots that don't even know was John commentating. Oh, and don't forget about Brocephus. So if you haven't already, go down below this video and click the like, subscribe button. And if you really want to show John some love, you can fondle or tickle that subscribe button. But don't listen to Zoomy. Don't lick the damn thing. Play the Snoop Dogg video here. Smoke with the bang. Thanks. Are you talking about the Snoop or the Snoop Dogg like creation video? I don't think I have that on this particular scene there, but let's see. Don't forget to insert your Jesus butt plug in before you go out to the world. As long as the blood of the Lamb is across the top of the door frame, you are safe from the Holy Spirit coming to ass rape you in the middle of the night, but not outside your doors. He can ask me if you're anytime you bend over. So remember, putting your J. Beavis sus butt plug. You can't go face down, ass up with one inserted. At least that's my recommendation. Lol, just kidding, just kidding. You two are the best. Thanks, Jonathan. Then we got Drew's book reviews saying, why does it seem that the only ones who misunderstand atheism are religious priesthood type people? Yeah, I mean, that seems to be a common thing, is that they regularly misunderstand it. And I really think that it's because they're so blinded by their faith that they honestly just cannot, put themselves in another person's shoes or really thoughtfully consider what somebody else believes. Grifter's Deuce says, I don't understand their ministry name. Lion of Fire? What part of that says praise Jesus? Sounds more like a gaming clan that's only got one member, but they want the LOF tag by their name. Oh, okay. By their name, so people think they are super hardcore. Let's see. Zoomy's got ASCII. Zoomy, from Merriam-Webster Dictionary, atheist, a person who does not believe in the existence of a god or any gods. One who subscribes to or advocates atheism. There is a person who lacks belief in it's a person who lacks belief in any god or gods. Easy debunk. Anyway, time for some ASCII. Look, son, a fucking idiot. And no, I'm not pointing at myself. pointing at the idiot in the video. But do you know who isn't a fucking idiot? Godless Engineer! And if you don't want to be a fucking idiot, you'll go ahead and lick that like button, smash the subscribe button, and fondle the bell. And if you want to feel even more special, join the Skeptic Mafia today, where you can make John say stupid shit like real engineers index at 1, or there is no world within which Star Wars is better than Star Trek. Well, thank you for attending my TED Talk. Exit stage right. I mean, I feel like you could make a solid case for some Star Wars movies being better than Star Trek movies. I'm just saying. Nothing's better than The Undiscovered Country, I believe it is. Is that Star Trek 4? Huh? Okay. Okay. Jason Kolosik running us out for tonight says, meanwhile, we thought Christians were witch burning, comfy chair torturing knuckle draggers. See how that works? How about asking an atheist? We would never steer you wrong. Here, sit in this nice comfy chair. Have some spam. Oh, upgraded to the Horn Sporting Mafia member. How suitable. Thank you so much there, Jason. Yeah, that's an indication as to how long you've been a member. And I really appreciate you being a member there, Jason. I appreciate everybody that's a member. You guys are awesome. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. We're actually done a little early, considering how long our shows normally are. Glad I was able to pad this out with technical difficulties and extra videos. But anyways, next week, we've got a lot of great shit going on the channel. We're actually going to be having 3 videos next week, like actual content related videos. So, you know, we got our Monday video that's going to be a director's cut. And then we've got Tuesday, we're going to be going over more of the Bible on our Daily Bible podcast. Wednesday is going to be a Skeptic Mafia clip. Skeptic Mafia podcast clip. And then Thursday will be a video about a certain cowboy Catholic defending the historical Jesus. And then we're going to have a special episode on Saturday where I have a collaboration with another creator here in the atheist community. So I hope that you guys will stay tuned for all that. And I guess we'll see you heathens next week. Thank you so much, everybody in the chat. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. I'll see you heathens later. Bye, heathens!